Spider-Man 2 is out, boys, and we've all had it a day earlier than general release, which, as we all had our collector's editions. Now, if you are a Spotify and Apple podcast listener, and you want to see us unboxing, showing off our initial thoughts of what came with the collector's edition, go on over to our YouTube channel where we did an unboxing and review discussion. Phil's idea to do it, and I was not looking forward to doing it, and it turned out it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, so hats off to Phil, great content idea, and it was a fun old time, so go on over there and give it a check out if you haven't seen it already. Now, we will not be discussing that this episode, we are going to be discussing the actual game. Now, we are all at various parts throughout this, so I think what we should do first is give our spoiler-free thoughts on the game. Before then, we can then dive it into spoiler territory. And for those that haven't played the game, or aren't too far into it, you might at that point want to just skip ahead and that'll be the end of the episode for you. But for those that are happy, they're going along for it, they've made progress, we will start that part off by explaining how far we are into it. So at least then you can judge, and whoever's the furthest behind will keep it all to that level for spoilers so that you'll know whether or not you're okay to keep listening. But before we get to that, let's get our top-level thoughts out of the way. Let's kind of go into it spoiler-free for the moment. Spencer, start off with yourself. Spider-Man 2, how are you finding it so far? Give me your thoughts.
Sure. So, Spider-Man 2, man. What a game. It was my most anticipated game, I think, after Street Fighter 6's release. And this has kind of been every single day. At some point throughout the day, I'm going, oh, Spider-Man 2. Oh, Spider-Man 2. And then when we got it, I have not been able to put the game down. It is phenomenal. It's an improvement on the original in every single way. There's not a single aspect, I think, that is worse than the original or Miles Morales. And I am just in love with this game. Absolutely adore it. And just keen to get back to it. I mean, I think it's a near perfect game so far, other than some bugs. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Wow. I suppose for the audience, how many hours in to the experience are you so far?
All right, okay. So, I am 27 hours into the game. And I've actually finished it and platinumed it.
Oh, fantastic. Well done. Ooh, that's a platinum. Absolutely incredible result, mate. 27 hours in, you earned yourself a platinum already. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, I cannot wait until we can pack it into the spoilers, and obviously you have to tone it down for me because I'm way further behind than you. But, oh my God. So after finishing the game then, how are you going to rate it? What are you coming down on?
Ooh, I've had a lot of bugs in my playthrough, like loads. A stupid amount of bugs. But that's just me. I'm the bug hunter. That's the way it goes. Bugs aside, I would honestly... Yeah, I would. I'd give this game a 10 out of 10. Genuinely a 10 out of 10. This game is phenomenal. It's a game you need to play. It's so good. And I've beaten the game, I've platinumed it, and I'm not uninstalling it. I want to go back and play it again. It is phenomenal.
Wowee. Oh my God. Huge praise. Coming in with a 10 out of 10. Very rare on this show that we give 10 out of 10s out. My God. Mr. Hoy, give me your thoughts, and also inform us how far you are through the experience as well.
Wow. I was not expecting Spencer to come through like that. You have been very silent in our chats, and very silent for a good reason, because you've been putting in the work, my friend, and I'll tip my hat to you. Congratulations for getting the platinum on that one. Big achievement. And I think I'll probably be doing the same thing, but let me just give you a little bit of a rundown where I am with the game and how I've been playing it. I've been playing it on fidelity mode. I've been playing at the 40 frames per second with the VRR, and that was enabled to further increase that frame rate because I had enabled the 120 hertz output. Because, guys, I bought a new TV specially to play this game. I bought an LG OLED Evo C3, and that's a bit of a flex because I haven't bought a TV in a while, and I wanted to go for something that was hand-picked, perfectly tuned for playing PS5, and it's the 120 hertz HDR10 4K version of the LG TV, and I am happy as Larry with it at the moment because that game sings. Now, we did do the collector's edition, as Davey said, and I encourage you guys to go back and watch us unbox Venom, Miles, and Spidey. It was a good time had by all. Now, the game. Where do I start? Where do I start? Having played the first two Spider-Man games on PS4 and PS5, this is a step up in absolutely every area. This game is incredible. I've got to echo everything Spencer has said so far. This is this is a perfect game, and I've only roughly played around 8 hours of the game, so I believe I'm slightly ahead of you, Dave, because you had a very busy time, and generally you would rush through games the same as Spencer. I like to take my time, look around, and I don't have the same sort of time to sort of dedicate to games as you, but every hour that I've had free, I've been putting into Spider-Man. I'm on amazing at the moment, so that's the difficulty that I've been playing. I'm level 18 and I've been doing all the side quests and all the collections. Now, I've done a bit of reading, and it approximately takes about 24 hours to get the 100%. So 27 hours, that's about right if you're doing a bit of sightseeing as well. IGN gave it an 8 out of 10. Metacritic gave it a 91 out of 100. And so far, for my sort of 8 hours in the game, I'm going to stick with Spence. It's a 10 out of 10. I'm absolutely loving this game.
Wow, my God. 2 10 out of 10s on the show. Guys, I'm coming in with a straight out 10 out of 10 as well. I think this is a perfect sequel. This is exactly what the jump was between God of War and God of War Ragnarok, in terms of it just improved on every single thing and just tied it all together. Now, I am the furthest behind out of all three of us, which is odd. I know, crazy, right? Normally this would be it. But it just turns out I've just been busy this weekend. It's like the worst weekend it could have launched on for me, because it's the weekend I had loads of plans. So I haven't had as much time as I wanted to. However, it's going to be done this week. 100%. I'll be able to say on the next episode whether or not I still feel it's got that 10 out of 10 big dick energy, because right now it does. Everything's improved. The combat, the movement, literally every single finite detail of this game has just been overclocked to reach its true potential. I don't think it does anything to revolutionize from the first game. I don't think it does anything too crazy over and above, but it doesn't need to. In the same way that Ragnarok didn't need to. It had a great base, and all it had to do was just layer it with better combat, with better things to do. This game has just done that. And it turns out it's just a fucking winning formula. It really is. There's something about it that I booted it up for about half hour earlier on before we started to record the show, and just started swinging, and I just couldn't stop smiling. And I was like, oh my God. Everything here, when you start moving in and start using all your additional powers to be able to create that movement, and that's the first thing that I've chosen to level, is that movement, and just be able to go so fast and so effortlessly, and to have this gorgeous ray traced graphics across every single surface to really just blow your mind. Absolutely incredible. Now, I do think there's a couple of areas that it does let me down on. I think especially coming from the likes of, say, God of War and from Horizon especially, that the voice acting and the voice acting is great and the performances are fantastic. But in terms of cutscenes and stuff, it's not on the same level as like Horizon or anything like that. Like nowhere near, especially when you're chatting to other characters. There's the odd times where the mouthing's all synced up, especially with like a little sub-character, and I really noticed that and think, wow, they've done a great job there. But 9 times out of 10, it's not. And I do think, okay, well, it is what it is. And I think there's certain scenes and things that I've seen so far up to this point where characters' faces just don't look like as if they got as much detail on as I would probably like. But then again, it's the art style that they've gone for on this, so I can kind of give it a free pass. And when the game looks as absolutely stunning as it does and loads like it does, I mean, the fast travel system in this game, absolutely fucking insane. I know loads of people have been hyping it up, but to be able to click on anywhere and it just goes in and has this awesome animation to kind of kick it all in, you're flying, so slick and so well done that it just blows my mind. And I think if these two guys haven't already sold you on it, it's easily one of the best games on PS5. Personally, I don't think it's the best. I think God of War Ragnarok tips it for me, but I'm too early to see where this story goes yet. So I don't know how it kind of where it builds to, and if it can possibly reach the hype levels I had with Ragnarok or not, I don't know. But right now, at the moment, I'd probably put it in as my maybe number 2 game on PS5 behind Ragnarok. I think it would quite happily slip in there. And easily, even though I said it earlier, I didn't really want to give up the Ghost, easily my game of the year so far, even for this many hours in. But wow. Crazy praise from all three of us. 10 out of 10s out the gate on this. Now, before we move it into spoiler territory, Spence, you mentioned about some bugs that you had. Now, it's been a long time since we've done this, so let's hit the jingle. When walls are spinning all around you, you can't properly aim your gun. You find you're falling through the world. I'll hunt you down 'cause you're a bug. I find the bugs, the big bad bugs. The Bug Hunter.
Such a sick jingle. That was class. Yeah, I've had many a bug during my playthrough. I mean, obviously, I've played 20 more hours than you boys. And I played this day one, so you expect some bugs day one. The first bug I had, I'm not going to go too in depth, no spoilers, nothing like that. First bug I had, you're on a wall as one of the Spidermen, not in costume at any point. That happens all the time in Spider-Man. But his shirt was just clipped into the wall. He was on the ceiling, and it was clipped into the ceiling. And it was just the cutscene that played. He's still on the ceiling, and when it's looking at him, he's just like this. Just, you can't see him. It's just a t-shirt there. And then it popped back out when I've jumped off the wall, and it was really weird. But that was just a little texture bug. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, that's not that bad. I can live with that. Crashes, soft locks, bloody texture bugs where I'm flying about as a little white cube. I've had it all. So there's specific soft locks I've had. One where there's a collectible that you need to break when you get it. And it just didn't let me. The camera just zoomed out. So I was in third person, which you're not supposed to be. And nothing worked. Couldn't move. Couldn't press any buttons. Couldn't even pause. I had to close the game and reopen the game. And then do the encounter again. I've had lots of crashes where it just randomly shuts down. One point I was just swinging, crashed. One point I was in a fight, crashed. During a cutscene, crashed. I've had about 6 crashes throughout the game. At one point my suits stopped loading. So if I swapped suit, it wouldn't show me the suit. It was just a little white cube. And then if I jumped into the actual game, it was just a white cube swinging about the city. No character there, little white box. And that was a bad one. But nothing, well, the crashes and soft locks hindered your experience, sure. But for the most part, it's restart, load checkpoint. Good to go. Only really you actually have to close the game. But still, even with these experiences, still a phenomenal game.
It's wild that you've had that many. Granted, I'm only 7 hours in. But I've not had anything. Literally nothing on my playthrough. I don't know about yourself, Phil.
Zero bugs, no issues at all from my sort of 8 hours in the game. But yeah, we've played a lot less than you, Spencer, but for whatever reason, and this is why you've got the title The Bug Hunter, these things happen to you more than anyone else that I've ever met or ever spoke to. So something's going wrong there.
Yeah, I think Davey said it to me earlier. I think I need a new PS5, and that's all it's going to be. But who knows? Who knows what the reason is, but I am the bug hunter, and it's just my role in life. So whichever dev company decides to snatch me up as a QA tester, they'll be lucky. Trust me, they'll have no bugs when they release that game, because I'll report everything. And maybe then I could have a bug-free experience on the game's release, and that'd be lovely. That's all we can hope for.
What would happen, though, is that because your PS5's dodgy, obviously, I think that's the only logical step here. It's the only thing that's different in our experience. We've all gone digital because it's part of the collector's edition. So there's nothing really that should be too different other than the fact that we've got different PS5s, right? I think the issue would be if you did get a job in a QA and you fixed all your issues, you'd probably cause them for 99% of the rest of the PlayStation population, because fixing yours would fuck ours. So I think, if anything, mate, you're like a messiah. You're taking all these bugs so the rest of the population doesn't have to experience them. So thank you for your service, mate.
It's a hard life, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to give.
It's that equilibrium of life. Something bad happens to you, something good happens to us. And at the moment, no bugs for us. So hopefully you keep getting bugs, because I'm bug free.
I'll try my best to serve, mate. I'll keep getting them. I'll do it for you boys. But yeah, that is probably the extent of my bugs. There wasn't really anything else severe. I've not had any NPCs act weird or anything that really is hindering my experience other than the crashes. But other than that, yeah, this bugs are bugs. I've learned to live with it. I'm sure for most it would be like, oh, another crash. I've learned to live with it, man.
It's a tough old life, but at least you didn't have any like save issues, because they're always the worst bugs. You know, when you get like a corrupt save file or something, and then maybe it hasn't synced to the cloud yet. Like, that's catastrophic. So thank God you haven't encountered any of those so far on this podcast run, and hopefully I haven't willed that into existence, because I do not want that for anybody. But before we move into spoilers, I do want to know, guys, and I wouldn't say this is a spoiler, right? Because these suits are everywhere. So I think we are okay to talk about this in terms of which suit are you using at the moment for your Spider-Man? Spence, as somebody who's platinumed the game, I don't mind you telling us about future suits that come up. They're just suits. They're not major things for the gameplay. So lay it on us. What suits are you enjoying at the moment?
Sure. So there's 2 suits that I used to play through the entire game. And then there's some suits for fun, which I use for side quests. I never used a different suit for any main game stuff, because after my experience with Miles, at the end of Miles Morales, if you wear his default suit, after the final scene, it's all battered and torn. But if you wear any other suit, that doesn't happen. So I'm kind of trying to use the normal suits just so I can get that experience. Except I don't like Peter's new suit. So I've played the entire game with the advanced suit from Spider-Man Remastered or Spider-Man 1. Because it's just such a better suit. Way better. But for Miles, I've used Miles' new suit for the entire playthrough. Except he has my favorite suit in the entire game, which is the City Sounds suit, which you get from a side quest, and it's just the sickest suit I've ever seen. I don't know if you boys want to pull it up and have a look, or if you want to leave it to mystery, or we'll put a picture on the screen. I don't know what we're going to do, but look it up. The City Sound suit for Miles is so sick. It's my favorite suit by far, but then also the Last Hunt suit for Peter is also my favorite suit for Peter, but I haven't used them really because I've tried to stay authentic to the characters. But those are my suits of choice.
I just looked it up, and it's a pretty cool suit. It's a pretty cool suit, but for me, I don't think it's going to change away from my picks here. So I've always been a stan for Ben Reilly. The 90s run for the Clone Wars, everyone hates it. The Clone Arc of Spider-Man. I grew up in that era, right? I love that run, even though it was by all intents and purposes horrendous as a comic book run. But we got my boy Ben Reilly, and he's nice as fuck. He's got the web cartridges around the wrists. He's wearing like a ripped up hoodie that's over the top. Sick costume. It's what I played Spider-Man 1 with, and I thought, oh, as soon as I unlock that suit, game on. That's me for the rest of the game. No matter whatever suit comes up, nothing will ever beat this. And then Superior Spider-Man suit came up, didn't it? Holy fuck. Superior Spider-Man is like my favorite Spider-Man run. And to have that suit come up, I literally popped off. I literally went, whoa! As soon as I saw it, immediately bought it, and that is me done. I do not need another suit. That is my Peter Parker suit done. And for Miles, it was the same suit that came up in Miles Morales when that game launched. And that is the Miles Morales 2099 suit. I fucking love that suit. With the glowy eyes, the hoodie up. So sick. I hate 2099 Peter. I hate it so much. I fucking hate that suit. But Miles' one bangs. It absolutely slaps. So to see that come back up, are so happy. So I got those two done. And I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm going to change again. Unless they get the Ben Reilly Spider-Man suit that he wore after the suit that I've been talking about earlier. He gets this awesome suit where it's like a big spider that goes across everywhere, and it's blue, and it's lush. And if they bring that suit in here, if that suit's unlockable, I'm in a horrendous choice. I'm in a Sophie's choice there at that point, because how do I get rid of Superior Spider-Man for that beautiful suit? But that is something I will cross that bridge when I get there. Mr. Hoy, what about yourself? What suits did you fall in love with?
Well, Davey, I'm very similar to Spence in the sense that I've kept everything default, generally, okay? But normally when I've got a new suit to try out, I will try it out, and I generally do 1 or 2 missions in it and then change back to the original. But the ones that have stuck out to me, and you've preferenced it already, is the Spider-Man 99 black suit. I absolutely love that suit, so I'm, on the other side. We're like chalk and cheese in our love and hate for the Spider-Man 99 suit, but I like that one, Peter, and that one's my sort of go-to. Although, I'm going to bring this back round and put a smile on that face because the Superior suit bangs. I really, really enjoy the Superior suit. I love the way that it's actually got the built-in bit in the back for his kind of claws to come out. No spoilers, of course. But that suit looks really, really cool when you're swinging around Manhattan as Peter. On the Miles side, I'm just keeping it basic. I like the sportswear suit. I really like him in the hoodie and the trainers and the shorts. I really like him sort of low level, just not techie at all, just a kid going round as Spider-Man, solving crimes. It's brilliant. Those are the 2 or sort of 3-ish suits that I tend to rotate outside the basic ones that you get.
Great choices all round, guys. And I've got to say, I think they've really gone above and beyond with these suits this game. The suit selection in the first one and in Miles Morales was excellent as well. But I really feel like now being able to go in and unlock suits and then be able to get like variants of those suits within that suit pattern is such a nice touch that you might think, oh, do you know what? I really like this one. And now, can I get it in green and yellow? Yeah, sure. Of course you can. Such a nice little touch just to give the players just that little bit more than they might think, I really love this design, but I don't like this color set. And if anything, it's just put me into this really hard choice all the time between, which color set do I like? Do I like this one? It's got a bit of green on, a bit of purple. Do I like my Spider-Man being that jazzy? It's like raising those questions that I didn't think I had before. And I do appreciate the love that Insomniac have shown on this. Okay, so the guys are giving me the nod. We are moving it into spoiler territory. Remember, we will be basing this, or I goddamn hope they're going to be basing this off my playtime, which is the lowest, so about 7 hours in. So for those that want to know where that is in the game, there's no spoilers, really. I'm sure it's going to have major story consequences, but from where I am, it's just something that's happened, is that Peter has gone with Harry to work. I'm going to leave it at that. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, switch off, maybe just skip the episode and come back to this after you've got to my part. For those that have got to this part and further, you're totally safe. Or I goddamn hope we're safe anyway. So guys, spoilers. First thing, what a fucking opening against Sandman, eh?
Mate, yeah, awesome. And also, just the way they did it, where Peter is the teacher. And Miles is there and he's like, come on, we gotta go. I thought it was awesome just the way they did it. Proper real life kind of situation that was really neat and just a shame for Peter. But then, like you said, works out in the end. I thought that was really cool. The fight is awesome. Loved it, mate. Loved the way it all tied together.
It was a really epic way to start the game, wasn't it? Really epic because it's a big creature attacking Manhattan. They had to leave the jobs, which unfortunately Peter gets let go from, his teacher job, and they go to tackle Sandman, and he's destroying, he's wrecking buildings, and you're wondering what the hell's going on, and you're going in, you haven't upgraded anything because this is the start of the game, and you're coming up against Sandman, and he's as tall as some of these skyscrapers, and you're swinging around, and the game is almost in tutorial mode at that stage, teaching you how to dodge, how to swing, how to duck, how to dive, and then introduces some of the other powers where you can, shoot webs and things like that, which is pretty obvious that was coming, but it teaches you how to do those things within the game in quite an intense situation. It's kind of like an end game boss, but you're at the start of the game. So it's very imposing, but it's very nice to see this sort of scale erupt in front of you. And it's very much a wow moment. And it was very cool how they foreshadowed something very important that happened in that fight that I think obviously has later consequences, but it adds some mystery to the story right at the start. You're like, what is that? What is this new power that Miles has got? Interesting, wasn't it, how they defeated him?
It really was. And I think what you're saying with scale is something that Insomniac haven't really played with for a long time. I think the last time they really played with it was back in the Resistance trilogy. And I always think about, there's a fight in Resistance 2 where you're fighting against this massive monster on like skyscrapers, and he's like walking towards skyscrapers, and you're like having to fly around him in helicopters and all this stuff, and that's very early in that game. It really like sets the tone for it. And it reminded me a lot of that, and I thought, wow. The thing for me about it that I just found absolutely overwhelming was where there's a couple of moments where Sandman will like smack Miles and he'll fly like 15 blocks, and it's just like all the camera doesn't just like cut to where he's going to end up. It follows him across the entire city as he gets blasted through buildings. I thought, fuck me, what a flex that is on the PlayStation's power here, on how they've done this, to be able to show this scale of the city and everything all running fine, and him just like crash out, and he's like, oh, time to get back into it, slingshot his way back over, and you think, fuck me. Like, that's such a flex, that's such a developer flex to be like, here we go, this is how well we've optimized our game. It's wild. And it's just like, just blows you away. It's one of those things you think, fuck, I just don't see this. Like, you might see somebody getting blasted, like, you think when Kratos is battling Thor and he's getting absolutely blasted across, but it's in cutscene generally, or it's like kind of a tracking camera with nothing really in the environment. Whereas this is the whole city of New York, and you're getting absolutely caned like a Dragon Ball Z moment, straight through like 15 skyscrapers. Absolutely insane. And I really felt like the tutorial levels are hard to do right. They really are. And especially for someone like myself, where, you've played a lot of games, you've been around for a long time, you've seen tutorial levels on all different size and scale, and for this to do it so eloquently, and then to be challenged as well, because I hadn't played Spider-Man since Miles, so I couldn't remember what webbing people up was. I couldn't remember it was R1, so I was like fucking up all over the place. I was getting battered, and I was like, fucking hell. And then after about like 2 or 3 different Sandman encounters, the muscle memory starts kicking in. You start getting back into it and thinking, right, well, have I got this move unlocked that I used to really love doing? Do I have that yet? And all these different things. And it just does it so well that it has enough challenge on it so that it's not boring, and enough scale and scope that it's interesting throughout the entire thing. I think they absolutely nailed it. I really do. I think they absolutely killed it. What a way to start this game off. Now, I'm conscious that you guys probably want to talk about specific parts, specific characters. Try to remember where I am in this. Is there anything that you guys want to bring to the table here to discuss?
Venom's good, isn't he?
Shut the fuck up, I don't know.
He hasn't.
I haven't
He
seen
hasn't seen
Venom.
Venom.
I haven't seen Venom. I'm joshing with you.
Jesus
The only Venom I've
Christ.
seen is that statue. Oh my God, it is a beautiful statue, isn't it? I cannot wait to see Venom. I just haven't seen him yet. I'm 8 hours in. No Venom. No mention. Well, there was a mention, but no real mention.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with him. I really am. I suppose this would be a good thing to discuss. The side quests, right? Now, we've seen, at this point in the game where I am, I've had the Vision Academy side quest, the Sandman, like, collect his soul side quests, and I've also had the side quest for the Prowler. And I've done all of those so far. What I appreciated about them is how different they were from Miles and from Spider-Man 1. Now, there's some that are better than others. I think for me personally, the Visions Academy ones kind of sucked. I didn't enjoy doing any of those 4 that I've done so far. I thought they were very just generic, helping some guy get his boyfriend to propose. It's like, okay, right, well, this isn't really too interesting on a gameplay level. Story-wise, it was nice, but didn't really do anything to change it up too much. You're following a drone or you're lining up mirrors. There wasn't anything there that I thought, oh, wow, this is incredible. But then the others, on the other hand, for example, the Prowler ones, I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed finding the glyph that you got to scan. I enjoyed the holding R2 and L2 to get the haptics right, to be able to line it up in the levels. I thought that was excellent. So I'm coming away from these side quests I've done so far, feeling really engaged by them. I feel like I want to do more. And I don't feel like I'm ticking a box off. I feel like, yeah, do you know what? These are really fun to do. Now, does that stay the same throughout the entire game, Spence? Does it keep the same level of variety? Or have I seen already what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the game?
I think the side quests immensely better than they were in Spider-Man 1 and Miles. I think this, literally every single aspect of them is better. I enjoyed the Brooklyn Vision ones. They were probably the worst bunch of side quests, but they're still fine. They're still good. But it only gets better from there. All the side quests are really good, and they're just a lot better. All the puzzles in the game are so much better, I find. And it's just, yeah, they've just put a lot more effort into the side quests this time. A lot of the side quests in this game feel like main story. And that's just really nice for them to have put that amount of work into it. It's just nice. I think you're in for a good time.
The way I feel about them is exactly the same. And I've only played sort of 8 hours, as I've mentioned, that they do feel like the main story. They don't feel like a side quest. I think each one adds something to the story and a bit more mystery to what you're looking for. And they're unique, which is the best part of them. They're not just copy and paste. I think it'd be very easy for Insomniac to copy and paste kind of each encounter around and kind of just like half-arse these ones just to pad out the game. And we see this happen all the time in video games. And they're just doing it, as I said, to pad it out, to create another trophy for you guys to hunt around for. But at the end of the day, these ones are keeping me engaged and they're something I want to do. I'm not swinging past them going, oh, there's another bloody Sandman one. No, I'm going, oh, great, we're going to find out a bit more about what's going on. That's the interest there. It gets me excited to see those pop up on my map.
All very positive again on the side quest. That's excellent to see. And I am looking forward now to just doing more of this game and just diving in and seeing more of these side quest content and seeing what's there. Now, this game, obviously, we've mentioned it a couple of little parts in passing, especially with like the fast travel system, where I was saying about the flex when you're getting blasted through building to building. The PS5 implementation here, for me personally, is excellent. I don't think I've had a game handle haptics in the same way that this is, where the controller feel is just incredible. From each web shot that you do, to even just little things, like where you just gain a momentum and you can start feeling like a little bit more of a vibration through the pad as it's coming through. Like every single thing seems to be mapped into that vibration that you have. I don't think I've had it on the same level as that in any experience so far, maybe outside of Astros, which I think did haptics probably still the best on the PS5, but that is a tech demo, really. This was just on a level that I find it had so much immersion. I know that there's people that say that haptics are a gimmick or they don't like them, but I think this is the kind of game where you can play it, and I can't really imagine it without them being there, because all of a sudden they'll be strong enough that I'll notice them and think, oh my god, wow, yeah, I can actually feel that. That feels great. And it just kind of buys me more into the game. Are you guys feeling the same way when it comes to like the haptics? And then I suppose on the same level, the adaptive triggers when it comes to doing some of these side quest content. I think both of them have been utilized amazingly here.
I think the best compliment I could give here is to actually say, I don't notice them. I think that's the best thing about them, because they're so subtle in parts and they're so meaningful in others that actually it just blurs the lines between what you're seeing on your TV and coming out your speakers and what's coming out the remote and what you're feeling. This, along with the implementation, and I have to put a shout out for Ratchet and Clank, because what they did with haptics was next level, and I feel like this is on par or slightly better in what they're doing here, because as I said, I don't notice them and it just enriches it. It just makes it better, apart from maybe the Prowler one with the triggers. That's the only time you're kind of like highlighted that something's happening. Everything else happens without you having to think about it, and it all just syncs correctly in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same in regards to the haptics, where I'm not really noticing them. Which is a compliment. The only time I do notice them is when you're like web winging through an air tunnel and you can feel the controller being like, oh, shoot, you're going fast. And that's probably about it. The adaptive triggers, phenomenal for those prowler puzzles and for when you smash Sandman's stones. And I kind of had a little play about with that, where if you just press them gently, it kind of like cracks a little bit, and it just kind of goes, you feel it stop, and then there's that breaking point where you snap it. It feels really nice on the controller, really nice. I think everything they've done with the controller for this game is perfect. There's not a time where I've been like, that feels wrong, or the haptics are too heavy, or they're not there at all. Everything adds to the immersion perfectly for this game, and I don't think they really could have done a better job.
Well, on the subject of like haptics and game feel and everything else, does anybody else feel like this is the first time this generation that we've had a game that just could not possibly run on anything else? Like, I really feel like out of every PS5 exclusive that we've had so far, you know, even when we're talking like Demon Souls, Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, all these other ones that are just PS5 only, this is the first one to me that I feel like this is like the generation's kicking up. Like, we're here now. Like, this is it. This is what the PS5 can do, and it's onwards and upwards from here. Because even though I love God of War Ragnarok, I never thought at any point in that game, like, this is it. This is the generation. I just thought, wow, this is like an amazing game, right? Whereas here on PS5 and playing Spider-Man 2, I'm now thinking like, shit, we've got like another 4 years or so left of games that are going to be just raising the bar in terms of what this console can do, and what a kickoff to what is, you know, PS5 2.0 or whatever they were saying is gonna be the case going forward. Now, is anyone else getting that vibe, or did you already experience that back with some of our other exclusives?
I gotta agree with you. Spider-Man 2 does feel like the next level in what we're hopefully going to expect in the future with PlayStation. And the bit that caught me is when you're swinging around Manhattan and the level of detail that you can see in every single thing that's going on. And it isn't just, as I've said, a bit of copy and paste, a bit of same textures here, same textures there. Everything feels different and thought about, okay? So it's not just like Times Square that looks beautiful, all right? It's not just Central Park that looks beautiful. It's every street on every corner looks beautiful, and there's detail in everything. There was a quest that I've just finished, and it's not a spoiler. I'm sat on a seat with an old man, okay? And that's as far as I'm going to go with describing it. But there's scratches on the back of the seat, and there's more scratches just behind where the old man's sitting. And I'm thinking, has someone chained their bike up here a little bit lazy, and they've knocked that off a little bit more paint than they have down on the further bit than the end of the seat? It's just so different. Everything is different, and everything is thought about. And that level of detail, I'm just like, wow, this is what we're going to get now on PS5, because the level has been set. Anything lower now, we're going to be like, wasn't as good as Spider-Man 2, was it?
Lads, I gotta completely agree. For me, I didn't really think about it throughout my playthrough. But then after I beat the game, there was some trophy cleanup I had to do. So this is no spoilers. But one of the trophies is you need to fly only using your web wings. You can't use any webs or anything. You have to use your wings to go from the financial district, so the bottom left, all the way up to the top right without touching the ground or using your webs. You have to traverse the entire map. Not a single bit of texture pop in. Not a single bit of any lag or anything like that. I've only noticed one frame drop throughout this entire game, and it was during a cutscene. I've not seen any frame drops, perfect 60 the whole time, I assume. If it is dropping, not to a level I can even see with my eye, it's flawless. And being able to traverse the entirety of it, all in one go, and take all of it in, how beautiful it looks, and how it just doesn't even load. It's just there, the fast travel, all of it. This is the PS5, and it is a hell of a showcase. I have felt it in the past. I feel like Ratchet and Clank did a good job of it. The issue is, for most games that are PS5 exclusive, it's just load times that they're kind of showing off, and that's the reason it could be a PS5, like Demon Souls with the teleporting, Ratchet and Clank with the portals, even Returnal with the doors. That wouldn't open as fast. The next area wouldn't load. On a PC, say, you'd have to wait by the door for a second. We don't have to do that. But this is the first time it looks like PS5, at least for me. And you can tell in playing it, this is for this console. So yeah, completely agree with both of you.
What an exciting time. What an exciting time ahead. If this is now like the end of this year, the end of the big games for PlayStation, and now we're getting into 2024 and beyond, and we don't know what's coming. Like, we don't know what's next. You know, after Arrowhead released, and it's a second party relationship with Helldivers 2, outside of like the, you know, the free-to-play games and, you know, the live service games, we don't know what's next. Can you imagine how hype it's going to be when we see like Ghost of Tsushima 2 or any of these other games that are cooking at the moment that we have no idea about? Death Stranding, of course. Like, all these different things. It's just going to be wild. It's going to be absolutely wild, let alone Wolverine. Yeah, of course. You know, Insomniac. Now, with Spidey 2, is it right in saying at this point that Insomniac are now the crown jewel of PlayStation? We've always adored them. I mean, we've been saying ever since, you know, like Phil from Ratchet and Clank, especially me with Resistance, that I've always loved Insomniac's work. I've really enjoyed everything they've ever done. But this game, to me, just sings on a level of quality that we haven't seen this generation so far, in my mind. And I'm now sitting here thinking, like, the work ethic of these guys to put out, you know, a remaster, granted it's just a remaster, but Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and then this, and this to be such a step up in so many different ways. Is this the premier studio for us? Have they dethroned Naughty Dog and Santa Monica to become the top tier guys? What do you think, lads?
I think, mate, 100%. Because the issue is as well, they're so goated, but they don't even take long. They're so quick with it. We had Miles Morales as a launch title. We had Spider-Man Remastered shortly after, which went to PC as well. We had Ratchet and Clank after that, and now Spider-Man 2 already, and Wolverine on the way. Bruv, they need to settle down. The only issue I have with them is Spider-Man 2 is so good that I think it ruins Spider-Man Remastered and Miles Morales. Because going back to those games now without the web wings, you're going to feel so slow. And that is it. But other than that, that's their fault for making such a better version on an almost perfect game. They just don't miss. I think they are by far our best developer at the moment. And I just can't wait for Wolverine. Can't wait to see what they do next. They are easily our crown jewel.
And I've got to agree with you 100% there, Spence. Insomniac are a step above everybody, but it only takes one duff game or a rumour of a duff game to lower our opinion. Look what's happening to Naughty Dog at the moment with what's going on in their studio, with their multiplayer. Is it on? Is it off? What's happening over there? They're getting rid of employees. We talked about it 2 weeks ago on the last show. And there's doubt in our mind that their games aren't going to come out at the same quality that we're used to. Insomniac, every time they release a game, it's a massive risk. It really is, because they've got to keep producing at this same level. And this same level, it's all the way up to 11. If I'm doing a Spinal Tap reference here for the movie buffs, because these graphics, this gameplay, every single thing about it, I'm just gushing. It's just perfect. And now they need to match that level.
Guys, I think you're right. I think I kind of agree to a certain extent. In terms of the work ethic, unmatched. You know, it's a massive studio, Insomniac, huge. They got loads of people there, all split off into different teams, and they're able to get work out and get it done and blast out quality. For me, though, I've got a feeling, much the same way that Spider-Man 1 didn't track up there in my top 3 when we talked about our PS4 exclusives, I've got a feeling that by the time we get to the end of this generation, our tops are going to be from, or my tops are going to be from Naughty Dog and Santa Monica. I've got a feeling that those two devs don't just like raise the bar on like a technical level, gameplay level everywhere else. They just seem to just influence fucking everything around them. Like a seismic fucking shift. And I think whatever Naughty Dog do cook up and whatever they do release always smokes. And it fucking bangs. You think about when we came out of The Last of Us 2 and you're like, how? How could they possibly beat The Last of Us 1? And I know some people say, oh, they didn't, la 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 la. But for me, you look at how much better that game actually plays and how much deeper it is in terms of story content compared to the first one, which fucking banged already. And to do that, And then also to be able to release like the Uncharted trilogy or the Uncharted quadrilogy and everything else they've done, that studio are fucking still the creme de la creme in my eyes. Like, still the best. And then Santa Monica, at this point through Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok's on another level. Again, to me. I feel like God of War Ragnarok, I think I'm going to get to the end of this generation and still be like, shit, but God of War, though. Because it was just so fucking good. It was just so good. And, like, everything they did was, like, they didn't just improve on it to a little bit. They seismically changed that game to make it just way better than what came in 2018. And as much as I appreciate what Insomniac do here, and they've really created what we're all calling a 10 out of 10, I don't know if it's going to have the legs that, say, God of War has. Now, Spence, obviously you've played both, you completed both. Are you saying that this is your favourite game on the PS5 console?
I think it's very closely in debate. Really is. Because the issue is I'm hot off Spider-Man 2. So I've got the hype train going. The game's only been out for technically 2 days. You're in for a ride, is all I can say. This game does go above and beyond. It gets better and better as you play it, and it does reach those heights. But like you're saying, God of War though, God of War, I didn't even like God of War 1. It was fine. I thought it was good. Ragnarok blew my tits off. I thought it was immaculate, and it's almost my favorite game of all time. If not, it is. I still need to think about it. I still haven't decided. So, I would. Oh, it's really close. I don't know. I really don't know. I think I would give it to God of War, but it's actually really close. Spider-Man 2 would be, if it's not number 1, it's number 2 on the PS5, no question. Not even close.
Wow. Oh my God. Bloody hell. To even be up there with that is huge praise, to be up that high. Oh my God. But, I mean, this is the thing about it, is that we know at this point, and I could be tempting fate here as you're saying, Phil, but we know that before the end of this generation, we may even get 1 or potentially even 2 more games out of Insomniac, which is just wild. Absolutely insane to think that we may only get 1 game out this generation from Naughty Dog. I reckon we'd get 1 more out from Sony Santa Monica before the end of the gen. I think, seeing as God of War Ragnarok was a cross-gen title, I think we've got 1 more in them before end of generation. But to think we may get 2 more Insomniac games, like, we haven't seen that kind of output since Naughty Dog in its heyday, where you had 3 Uncharted and a Last of Us. You know, we haven't had that level of clip of quality in a long old time over on this generation, or over on this console. So, wow, exciting times ahead. Well, I'm sure, listeners, that we are going to pick this up, and we'll probably, I imagine, end up doing a full spoiler cast on this game, much like we did for Miles Morales many, many, many years ago.